Welcome to TaxTalks, a Frank Hirth original podcast series focusing on the personal experiences of those working in the tax industry. Subscribe to join us for a regular sit-down to discuss what life is like for those who work at Frank Hirth. In our first episode, our host Michael Lewis, director at Frank Hirth, is joined by two of our other directors, James Murray and Iain Younger. If you're interested in working in the industry, then this podcast will give you a look behind the scenes of one of the UK's largest US-UK tax firms.
Welcome to this Frank Hirth podcast, hosted by me, Michael Lewis, a board director here at Frank Hirth. I'm delighted to have with me two of my fellow board directors, Iain Younger and James Murray. Do you want to introduce yourselves and explain how long you've been in the firm and what your background is?
Okay, James Murray, as Michael says, the director here. I have been here since, 2002, joined as a graduate. I then dipped out for a couple of years and returned to join the board in 2017. So all in 15 odd years I've been with the firm.
I'm Iain Younger, also a director, lead the Trust and Estate team. Similar to James, I've been here a long time. I started back in February 2000. I didn't leave. I've been here the whole time.
So we're going to talk today about a career in private client tax. And so why don't we start saying, I bet neither of you probably thought that you were ever going to, or dreamed that you would have a job in private client tax. How did you get into this? What were you doing before, and what made you choose this career?
I wasn't doing anything before, because I was straight out of university. But I always wanted to work with figures, with numbers, quite numeric and logic type thinking. But if I'm honest, I didn't really know much about tax, let alone sort of private client tax or US-UK private client tax or anything along those lines. So it was really about, back then you used to apply to as many jobs as you could, I think. And
Finally someone took it.
And this was post-university?
Yeah, that's right. In the early 2000s. And I met with the guys at Frank Hirth and seemed to click. Gone well.
And how did you hear about the job? Was it through any particular source?
I can't remember, although I do remember putting in my cover letter that I'd read about the job in the Evening Standard and was quite quickly told in my interview that they'd never put an advert in the Evening Standard, so I can't recall where I came across it, but it's worked out pretty well. So.
And you, I think you're slightly different.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I didn't go to university, so I lived outside London. I worked at a small accounting practice back home, and that was an audit practice rather than a tax-driven firm like us. After a couple of years there, I thought I want to move to London. There was no necessary desire to
smoke.
Carry on working in audit work, but that was sort of the area that I knew. So when I joined Frank Hirth, I joined the audit team originally. I was there for a couple of years and then was given the opportunity to join one of the tax teams over a deadline and never went back, which is probably audit's loss, but
Yeah.
But no, I think and from that point, it was in the business team, and James and I worked in the same team. The business team then actually also included trust work, and it then evolved over time where actually we became the family wealth group and then ultimately part of the private client team. But it's been a varied path to get where I am today.
But I think it's fair to say that probably none of you dreamt that you'd be doing private client tax, and so you kind of felt it.
Similar to James, I back when I was 20 when I joined here, I couldn't have told you what private client tax meant here. So I think the change in probably the firm then when we started, it was as you say, you had to go at everything. You got involved, even probably after a few years in work, we didn't really know what private client was. But now, actually seeing the structure of the graduate program has evolved from when James joined to what it is today. Actually, that progression and that growth has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it was a fantastic firm when it was 35 of us, and it's just been strengthened over the 20 years that I've been here, and I've seen some fantastic people come in both from the graduate program and both through lateral hires as well, which has supplemented our strength.
Well, you started differently though, so how about you? Because we both joined a very small firm.
Well, it's not so different. I wasn't thinking about tax at all. I was doing the maths, applying to everything under the sun post-university.
Right.
And I saw a job in Prospects, and we still advertise in Prospects today. Of course, it's all gone online. It was a magazine form back in there. I saw a job at Deloitte. I applied. I didn't even know what tax was. In fact, I was attracted by the fact that, unlike accounting, you didn't have to commit to 3 years of doing a qualification I wasn't sure I wanted to do. The ATT was just 1 year. And actually, that's what attracted me, the lack of commitment. And I'm afraid to say, but I got into the job and I've loved it.
Yeah.
Right? And in fact, so why don't we talk about this? Because, Iain, you've been here your whole career.
Yeah.
James, you've stepped away, but came back.
Indeed.
And I'm sure, Iain, you've had lots of offers to leave.
I don't know how long.
Well, 1 or 2.
I've been asked to leave a few times.
So what's made you stay, or Frank Hirth, and what sort of made you come back, James?
I guess actually for you, the 2 years difference between me and you starting is actually probably very different in terms of the way in which our careers have progressed. Because when I first joined, I had an interview with Maris for 15 minutes, and we got on well, and he offered me a job. I remember starting on my first day where my old firm didn't do emails. It was all paper based. It was all 10 people sitting in a room. I didn't switch my emails on for the first week, and I missed a lot of meetings. I had no idea that's how we did things. So the structure when I started wasn't the same. It then realised actually the firm's growing, we've got to put a structure in place. When we bring people on, we've got to make sure. I think you're probably the second year, the graduate
I think we were the first formal programme, but there had been some sort of graduates who had been hired before.
But when that programme started, the rigidity of where the team they were in became quite clear. For me, I sort of floated around a little bit. I did a little bit of everything, and I then had the opportunity to really choose where I wanted to go down. I've always been a couple of years ahead of the structure of a graduate programme, and that's allowed me, through with the parameters set by the firm, to a degree dictate my career. Thinking about it, actually having something more structure at the start probably would have been helpful. And when I joined on my own, and it was a little bit daunting. But I think in both routes, this has given me the opportunity to work with some fantastic people across the firm, and that I can't replace. But I've said a few people now, 20 years here at Frank Hirth, but the firm today is unrecognisable from the firm back then. So I probably worked in reality, sort of almost 3 different places in that time, and worked with a full range of people, working from people like Paul, Robin, working now with you guys. That's given me such a diverse range of opportunities that I simply don't think I would have got anywhere else.
It's not been stale for 20 years, for sure.
No, absolutely.
And James, you've experienced as well of going into Big Four and coming back out of that. I mean, how does it contrast?
I think the difference for me is the fact that what we do here, what I do is what this firm does. And that was quite important for me, because I think our agility and our flexibility and the way we can direct the firm that suits what we do for our clients, is a massive draw. And it's only recognised when you go somewhere else and, 200,000 people globally, and in London we had 22 people doing what we do. You haven't got the leverage and the influence that you might want in order to drive a business like ours. And working with other people who are really good at this, you guys and Paul and Robin, and even going down the grades, we've got some really, really strong people here. We've got great infrastructure. We are the best at what we do. That's a real draw.
Yeah.
But I knew you before you went to EY. I knew you before when you came back. But you've experienced something different, and actually that's where we benefited massively as a firm. The graduate programme has been wonderful, but actually to also supplement that with fantastic lateral hires and bring other experiences in. I mean, my experience of this world is the 4 walls of Frank Hirth. I've been fortunate that I've been able to be visible in the marketplace and build a really strong contact list. But so actually your way of thinking about things, I think, was very different when you came back compared to when you were there.
I mean, I wouldn't change having gone.
No.
The experience, they're a great firm, but the experience gathered there, the change in mindset, the behaviours, and how to have more influence in certain aspects, and how to drive a network and build a brand and all that sort of stuff, was extremely valuable.
But I think that now as a leadership team, if you look at the board, it's actually career-wise very diverse.
Yeah.
And actually our ability then to bring the best of that to the guys here and help them develop their career. I'm not suggesting people should leave and come back, but we have to recognise that there is so much experience around this entire office, not just even at the board.
I think it's fair to say, as someone who also joined from the Big Four, that what's one of the many things that should impress me about Frank Hirth is the nimbleness of the way we can operate compared to the Big Four.
Yeah. That wins us clients as well.
Yeah.
Just that ability to do stuff quickly, properly, and fit for them, as opposed to trying to shoehorn processes or procedures that don't really fit with a private client type practice. Is pretty important.
But that's evolved massively, isn't it? I mean, when we first started, it was all paper files. It was all, even at that size of firm, you do what you need to do for the client, and let's say the process wasn't there. I think now we've got a great mix of procedures and processes that aren't restricted to us doing our day-to-day work.
Yeah.
So we said when you first joined, it was about 30 to 40 people. I think everyone did everything back in the day. Now you've begun to start specialising in the trust field, and you, James, in sort of owner managed businesses. And when did you make that decision? When did you start focusing more in one area than another?
I think we were at the same time, weren't we?
Yeah. Well, James and I worked in the same team probably the first 6 years of your career, and at that point the team did everything but personal tax. So, that wasn't the drive of our group. Our drive was entrepreneurial reporting and trust reporting. And I went down the trust route for whatever reason, and James went down the owner managed business route. I don't think there was necessarily a conscious decision. We just felt that at that time it made sense, and the person that was leading the team left, and it gave us an opportunity actually to
build
our specialist teams.
That's right. So it was probably opportunity came at the right time for both of us, where we were good enough in what we were doing and had our own interests, and there was a need for it. There was more work. The firm was getting a bit bigger, and it made sense. So luckily enough, we both sort of wanted to do slightly different things. So
I think at that time, the two senior people in the group moved on, and it just James and I naturally progressed into that next level of our careers. I think we still, at that point, were, I'd say, generalists. We still got involved in certain issues. James and I spent a lovely Valentine's Day in Jersey.
We did,
talking to trust companies.
Yeah, that wasn't
very romantic, I'm sure.
It wasn't through choice.
So that was it was a lack of other options. But that was, we still work very closely together. And again, we still, I think, probably continue that relationship now going forward. But that was really where I think specialist teams started. That's where we had a trust team, we had an entrepreneurial team, all under the banner of what was then called Family Wealth.
Yeah.
But
and then you had some other, Ria's team was doing the partnerships stuff. So you kind of really had 3 or 4 pillars, didn't you, at one point? And then again, that's developed further over time to extend it out a little bit more.
But I don't think we ever had a conversation that said, I do trust work, James does owner managed business, Ria does partnership work. It just naturally progressed into that. I think we all took the initiative to take our own spot collaboratively. I think it was never a case of land grabbing.
But I think that's an important point actually about careers. It's not planned from the start. You take the opportunities. So I think there's a lesson there that a career is not set. It sort of develops. You need to take your own opportunities. And in fact, you can't just plan it from day one. You need to see how things go. And I think taking ownership of your career and looking for those opportunities and taking those opportunities is very important. Would you agree with that? Yeah,
I think the spectrum and breadth of experiences within our firm and the skills we've got and the different experiences people bring to the firm. I think that it's fair to say that there will be so many opportunities, but you kind of have to a certain extent, seek them out, look for them, and actually take them. And sometimes it might feel like a risk, but I certainly, I think I remember when, the person left and you and I sort of stepped up a little bit, there was that, concern of, hang on, can I do this? And you kind of just have to give it a go. So I think if you try and be too rigid with your career plan, you're going to miss out on some of those chances. And I think some of those will often be the best. But I think the best things that come through.
I absolutely echo what you say, but I think we also learned some lessons around that. I think if you look at the graduate programme, 15 years ago, it was almost where you sat that first day, that was the team you were in.
Yeah.
Because we were learning a new way of building the firm. But now, I think with sessions like what we do and how we do it, to get a good understanding of what other groups do, other teams do, as much as that is to make sure people are aware of the offering of Frank Hirth, it's also aware actually if that interests you, there's opportunity to do that work. And every group is open to people that are trying something new, and we want to do that collaboratively. And I think the push now for career progression to be driven by the team, driven by the individuals and what they want to do. I think if you look at the diverse range of careers we can offer here.
Well, we're in a really lucky spot, I think, because we do so much, and we can be agile, we can be flexible, we can be tailored and bespoke to people's needs, where it's necessary, and we can give those opportunities, And there's so much new work and new opportunities and things to get involved with and initiatives. We do so much non-client work as well that you should be able to have a fulfilled career and touch on lots of different teams, lots of different people, and not feel like you're pigeonholed into a role day one and you're stuck with it unless you go elsewhere.
We've proven over the last 15, 20 years, and even before then, that we want to innovate, we want to do things differently. And I never want to see people thinking a career path is governed by what the person in front of them did. Now, the opportunity to do something different, to see something in a different way, whether it's training, whether it's the procedures, whatever it might be, we want ideas. We want people to come forward with ideas, and not to say that everything will be taken on, or everything will be done immediately, but actually things will be looked at and will be proved that we're agile, as we've all said, to make changes, to actually do things in a different fashion, to make sure we're still at the front.
Focusing primarily on the US and UK tax requirements, Frank Hirth has specialist teams which can assist with all the compliance issues that may arise between the two jurisdictions. We provide our services to an ever-increasing population of clients, whether a private individual or multinational corporation. We will spend time getting to know you and learning about the complexities of your world so that we can deal effectively with the challenges before you. Search Frank Hirth Tax Services to learn more.
Do you want to tell me about what you most enjoy about your roles? I mean, you also touch upon, some of the difficulties you may have had in the past, balancing work, work and life, and the pressures as well. So both sides of the coin, as in what you've enjoyed, what you've hated, and what you found difficult.
In terms of enjoyment, I like speaking to new clients. And everyone will have their thing that they like. They like meeting new contacts or presenting or marketing, whatever it is. But mine is about talking to new clients, showcasing what we do, talking about what we can do, how we can help, listening to them, and winning that work as well. I really enjoy that aspect, and I'm lucky enough that I've got a role that enables me to do that.
So winning that work is a buzz.
Yeah.
And then if you
have to do it.
If you don't win a pitch.
If you don't win a pitch,
do you feel disappointment? Is it?
It depends. It depends why. If I think I've given my best, and actually whoever does win the work is better placed because they can do other things or whatever, then that's fine. If it comes down to price, again, that's fine. If it's because they didn't like me or they didn't think that I was able to, or they didn't believe I could deliver on what I was promising, then that would be a bit of a kicker. But more often than not, you get, if you do it right, you can get good feedback that you can learn from anyway.
Just slightly off tangent though, but I think if you think about the way you and I used to be involved in pitches back when we started, you were given the work, weren't so involved in the pitch, but as we got more involved, if you look at the process we go through now, it's far different. I think what we present to a client is thought through, considered, and a proposal given that makes sense of the scope of the work that we've been put in front of us. And that time we take to do that, I don't think is matched anywhere else. And I think actually, if we don't win a piece of work, it's not for the lack of the quality of the proposal put forward. In most cases, I think it's on price, and we're never going to pitch ourselves as we're never going to be the cheapest firm. You don't want to be. We have the value, but I think that. Similar to the buzz of winning a piece of work is great. Actually, then seeing that work come to fruition is again a real good a good feeling.
And I think it's important that everyone's got a different style, and you can't just copy someone else's style. I've taken elements of people I've worked with, or more senior people, or things I think are positive behaviours or whatever else. But
You'll steer clear of things actually that
recognise things that maybe I wouldn't want to do. But and you find your own natural style.
Yeah, you learn. I mean, I always thought I learned so much just by listening to some of my managers on the phone.
Yeah.
Dealing with clients, both dealing with difficult clients, dealing with good clients, explaining things. I still use examples today that I've heard my previous managers use to explain something. I thought that was a very good way of explaining that. I'm going to use that.
No, and I think you're right. I think that we can train people all day long. You can do hundreds of tax returns, say, but you probably learn a lot more by listening to what's going on around you. And I think actually people getting seating plans right, I think, is really important. Seating people nearby where they can learn those things is crucial. And I think we've all done exactly that. We've picked up those positives out of people we've worked with and tried to park the negatives that we've seen. So
James enjoys winning. That's his buzz. Is that the same for you, Iain?
Yeah,
it's a very rare thing.
It does occasionally happen, I'm sure.
I love meeting new clients, and I would back Frank Hirth to the hilt that we would win the majority of work that we pitch for. So it's similar to James. But for me, a lot of the work that I do is hopefully built towards a long-term relationship with clients, and I really enjoy that. I really enjoy the clients that I work with. Some of them are tough, some are difficult, but actually getting to know a client allows you to move into that advisor role, and also watching my team do the same. Not in exactly saying the way I do it, but having an opportunity for them to build client relationships. I think that's a really, I think my team is across the firm, but we have some really great guys that are heavily involved with their clients, and that's a great feeling for me, because actually we're building some really strong advisors. But there's so much to the work that's enjoyable.
I think the variety as well.
Absolutely.
An ordinary day is not an ordinary day. There will be a new client call or a meeting. There will be a team meeting. There will be some marketing work that needs doing, reviewing of finances, considering our growth strategy, whatever it is. There's lots of different elements to certainly my day today, and that makes it a difficult balance, but also keeps it interesting, which I guess leads to.
Well, let's straight on ahead. I mean, what do we enjoy? Let's talk about the difficulties we've had in our careers, the dark times.
Certainly I remember being I think I was a manager or an assistant manager, and it was really tough. Really tough. Having to take time out of the office just because it was too much. For 4 or 6 weeks or something like that, it felt overwhelming. And what I learned from that was you need to speak up soon, as soon as those types of things start to get on top of you. And I also learned of how to be a manager, or how to manage people, because the person I approached to tell them I was having this issue helped me leave the building immediately, reallocated all my work, and basically showed me how you should look after people to a certain degree. So that's what we need to get across to people: is you need to speak up, you need to share the concerns, the worries, and whatever.
You shouldn't internalise things, because I think people, I see myself, just to jump in and say, we are a deadline driven business, and it's pressurised, and people get very, very stressed by it, but no one dies.
No.
Remember, no one dies in our career.
There's no getting away.
We're filing taxes.
It's tough. There's a lot of hours. There's high tension. There's big numbers involved. All these things, and they all come together in this perfect storm of concern and worry. But there is also there should always be someone above you who should be taking the load.
Yeah.
So it's not a junior preparer. It's not a manager. It's it's folks like us who should be taking the brunt of any concern or worry.
But I think for us, when we were first starting, we were 40 of us. That was easier to do. It was easier to see someone if they were struggling. It was easier to see because just simply the numbers. We are a bigger firm now, but the practices that we have, hopefully the internal assistance that we have for people is far better now.
The awareness. We have mental health champions now in the business.
Yeah.
Not just champions. There's lots of people who've done awareness training. We have there's more general awareness. within the wider community of issues. And I think any issues will hopefully be spotted earlier. But as you say, people do need to speak up, because you don't. Our career, particularly, and it's still, I think, true to say, is because of their deadlines. There are going to be moments where you have to work long hours, and there will have to be some sacrifices with your home life.
I think the key is how you can influence that and how you can improve those things. And what can we do a bit earlier? And we're always going to have the same clients that are always going to be a nightmare towards the end. But how can we actually plan for that better? And I think we do a really good job, and you're never going to remove the need to have those long hours. And actually, that's a great opportunity at those points to build the strength of your teams. And most especially, going back to when James and I were preparers, December 15, for example, we were all there.
It was pretty exciting, actually, in fairness.
All photocopying, surrounded by paper, taxis to clients, nobody's electronic. Yeah. But at the end of it, it was a really good feeling. Yeah. You don't know a deadline, you got through it. The pressures are still the same. The pressures are still there now. It's just a different model of how we look after.
I think that's important, though.
It's a bit so. It's a bit now more. I think people, it's easy to take on the pressure yourself, because you feel you can't. There's no one else that you can rely on to do it. Whereas back then, it felt that as a smaller team, it was
a shared burden.
Yeah. But that is still there, and we need people to embrace that.
That teaming, collective, coming together to get something over the line. Not just looking at your own stuff, but looking at the firms or the team's workload. That was pretty exciting. I used to quite enjoy that as a more junior person, getting involved and getting stuck in and all that. And if you can take it that way, take the positive from it if you can, then it's not quite so painful. But getting the work and life balance right is a tricky thing.
But I don't want to give you credit too much, but I think actually you manage your time very well. You have your times when you're going to leave the office, or you're in, and when you're in the office working, that time is used very efficiently. And I'm probably a bit more the other way, a bit more scattergun, and I'll be doing emails late at night and those kind of things. But actually, though, that works for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not placing the expectation on how I work, someone else needs to work. And I think that's key now. And because when you're looking at things like work-life balance that you talked about, our world's changed massively. When you first started, you're single. Now I'm married with 2 kids. You have kids, and it's a different pressure. It's absolutely a different pressure. But having a one-size-fits-all plan for work-life balance is never going to work.
No.
So actually, I have to take a view and say, this is what works for me. You say, well, this is how you best work. And I see some really great examples of that around the office, and I encourage everyone just to think about how best they can do what they need to do, especially this time of year. I was actually when it's going out, but this time of year, being September, it's always a tough time of year. Yeah. It is always tough.
Yeah, we're at the run now of the next 3 months, and the weather changes. It's dark early. Everyone's pretty down anyway, compounding by loads of deadlines. It is tricky, but I think you're right. We've all got our own way of managing things. We've all got other things that are important in our lives that we need to work with.
But I think if we create a model now that allows work to be flexible around that, the fact we have the services, if someone needs to work at home, we can deal with that.
We can be agile, we can be flexible. And what I've always taken comfort in, and it's really helped, is that we're all in it together.
Yeah.
It's not just one person, one team. We all need to work through deadlines. It's every man, every woman helping each other to a common goal.
But there's no doubt, there's other parts of the job that aren't enjoyable. Things do go wrong at times. Conversations with clients when you're not giving the best message. But actually, as you said before, learning techniques to deal with that, learning ways in which you can have a relationship with clients. So when you have to have a tough conversation, it's not as bad as it would have been if they'd never heard from you before.
Well, I think, when was the first time you have to realise that you'd actually speak back to a client and tell them off that they were being,
I'm not as blunt as you.
No, you don't politely say, actually, that's unfair. You shouldn't talk to my staff like that, or I think we're not negotiating this bill because you've got a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, the customer's always right. I get that, but sometimes they're wrong, and or not necessarily wrong, but we don't always see things in the same light. And I think that those negotiation skills that you pick up over time.
Each client's different, isn't it? I mean, I would have to talk to a beneficiary of a trust who's an artist, for example, and they're not a creative as opposed to a financial person. It's a different conversation around the value of professional services, maybe compared to a fund manager. You're having a different conversation, and to be flexible about that. Techniques is one thing. You can't have a script to these things. You have to be understanding the facts, understand what's going on, and really, what will always happen though is it goes back to the no blame culture. That will always be supported, and I think that you talk about the dark times. I think we've all had those moments. Middle of the night, you wake up and you think, "Oh God, that's gone wrong," or you open a file.
Did I file that extension?
Yeah,
did I?
Absolutely. But then the rest, and that's where things. The reality comes out, and actually, the worst thing to do in those scenarios is try and hide it, try and fix it on your own without the support. To actually realise, the no blame culture is not just a saying; it's a reality. Not that it's not no fault. You have to see where something went wrong and fix that. But actually, I think we've all proved that we're here to help in those issues and support everyone through. And that's I think individually the dark times is that moment you sort of the long train ride into work. You're terrified about what's going to happen. But the reality is, once you've dealt with it, you deal with it, and you say,
It's learning from the mistakes. It's about having that culture which says, look, we make mistakes, we're going to admit it, we're going to discuss it, we're going to be open, and then we're going to learn from it. Yeah, because no one's perfect.
Absolutely.
Are you interested in working in a career in private client tax? Frank Hirth is looking for talented individuals across all levels, ranging from graduates to senior managers. If you feel you have what it takes, apply today. Search for Frank Hirth Careers to find out more.
I mean, let's talk about how things have changed. So I'm sure technology is completely different, processes are completely different. Do we talk about that? And maybe talk about how things might progress. But I know some people are worried that maybe there isn't a job.
The robots are taking over.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of technology, I'm probably not the right person to talk to.
Well, I'm straight up the wrong person.
This is the wrong podcast.
Every member of IT and...
But you've adapted. It's changed enormously, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I might remember first getting a BlackBerry, actually doing email. But before, we used to go home at 5.
Yeah, and that was
back
it.
At 9, and whatever happened in between didn't matter.
You picked it up in the morning.
You picked it up, but now, and again, this is the need to be flexible around what you do. But it's changed massively. I think in a good way. You're able to get much closer to clients, able to be much more responsive to clients and their needs. That in itself, learning techniques how to deal with clients. You can almost be too available at times. If you reply to an email at 2 in the afternoon on a Sunday, clients always probably start expecting that. But it's learning what needs to be done and what doesn't need to be done. But the fact that the technology that we have, I think, is unrivaled in any other firm. The procedures that we have, that we've developed and continue to develop, are unrivaled. Yeah, and that's a great thing. I'm probably, Tim and James, I'm probably not the greatest at following every procedure that we have, but that's my problem. That's what I need to work on. But actually seeing the way people's day-to-day lives have, I would say, improved through the support, through the procedures that we have in place, has been fabulous. I mean, it's a different firm to the one.
So you're saying, we should be positive about technological changes.
I would champion all the things we do use. It's just that certain things don't work for me, but I see why they should work, and they do work uniformly across the firm. So, I still quite like paper when I'm reviewing things, but we're trying to save the planet, so I'm glad that most people don't use paper.
And robots, are we all going to be taken over by?
I'm hugely positive about our world. I mean, certainly, I think in compliance, making tax digital, everything the way that's moving, it'll become more efficient. But we're pitching ourselves in the private client and the business team as advisors to our clients, and I don't think in the complex world that we work in, the niche area that we work in, I don't think you can replace the relationship that we have with our clients.
And I think that's an important word you use there, relationships, because we're trusted advisors, probably, first and foremost. And I don't think a wealthy individual with complex requirements is ever going to trust a computer.
I think it will be a tool that we use more. But I agree. I think that in terms of will it wipe out our industry or what we do, absolutely not. I think complex is our kind of norm, and it stands out from some of the more mundane, rudimentary tasks which will be taken over by robotics and such.
I may be pretty wrong, but I think a robot can't challenge a client. It can't read the emotion, and that's hugely important for us. In my world, I think in both you guys as well, the best tax answer isn't always the best answer for the family or for the client, but actually you don't know that until you know the client and build a relationship. So very little of what we do is black and white, and I think in the AI world you almost have to be yes and no. You have to be binary in terms of what you can do. You look at the firms that are almost fully automated in the tax world and doing tax returns for £100 or $150 in the US. They're not doing the kind of returns that we do. They're not doing the complexity that we do, and ultimately, I think that's where we stand out on the complex issues and the long-term relationships. And our clients are long-term. There's no doubt about that. So I'm buoyant about that.
And I also think that as a firm, we're positioning ourselves well enough with technology that we will be able to use it appropriately. So we've done a lot of changes in the way that we do things already. So we're embracing it as opposed to having that conflict with it.
But that's what's interesting though, your couple of years out, you actually see how good it was here.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, for me, I know it, and I can get frustrated with things, and mostly that's user error as opposed to anything else. But you know that people look to us and say, actually, and in that side.
I think for a firm our size, anecdotally, what we hear is that we are probably up there, not the former, up there with the leading adopters of technology. I know compared to the Big Four, a lot of what we do here is on a par, if not better.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But when you also say we position ourselves, the complexity of the clients that we're seeing, the compliance requirements, the focus from the IRS and HMRC on the foreign world, we've been doing that quality compliance work for the last 45 years.
Yeah.
So the fact that the enforcement is much greater than it was before isn't a challenge to us because we've been there.
I think it's the reverse, in fact, because we're seeing smaller firms or certain firms feel unable to deal with how complex the world in which we play is now, and therefore referring more work to us. So I think there's a rise to quality, and we've always been, at the top or near the top, and therefore I think I don't see there being a threat to continued growth.
And a lot of that comes from the efforts on the marketing side of the last 3-4 years, where actually we're so much more visible in the marketplace now. We share more information, I would say, than any of our competitors, and that is a drive to obviously make us at the forefront of people's minds, but also just to raise the quality of the US private client world in London and generally outside the US, because the kind of work that we do is complex, and we shouldn't be afraid to shout about that.
So we're going to sort of wrap up in the next couple of minutes. What would you say would be the highlight of your career?
This has been great.
I mean, for me, joining the board was fantastic. I've been fortunate enough to have promotions throughout my career, but to sit at the table with people I admired and sort of grew up with professionally has been fantastic. But the board I joined is very different to the board I sit with today, and my career hasn't stopped as I enter the board, and that's it. I'm excited by the way in which we're going to carry on evolving and the firm's going to carry on growing. So for me, professionally, to make that step onto the board was great. The opportunity to grow even further is still exciting.
Did you, James?
Probably the same. I think having a leadership position in the firm and working with all you guys to try and achieve other things is pretty cool and something I'm proud of. Reaching that point. But as Iain says, there's so much more we can be doing, and if we could all develop things and grow things, then everyone can benefit from it, and the opportunities will be somewhat unlimited, I think. So, how about you?
On the spot. I mean, to sound boring is probably the same,
right.
Actually. Although I probably didn't realise at the time.
Right.
Realise it later actually that what a great role it was, and Robin asked me to take charge of the marketing department, and I didn't realise how much I was going to enjoy it.
Right. Yeah.
Actually,
we've done a very good job.
But I think for us though, I think you talk about the board and where we are today. Obviously as a firm we've had a tough 12 months away from the professional side, but the fact that the professional side has carried on.
Perhaps you should just comment very briefly why it was a tough 12 months.
Obviously, Paul Hocking passed away almost 12 months ago. Now, sort of October 2018, and as a leader of the firm, he was here from day one, and that was massive. But actually, he and along with Robin and the rest of the board at the time have grown a firm that didn't rely on one person, and that was so important. It's so important to recognise the talent beneath them, the talent coming through, and that ethos hasn't changed. That's still there, and the fact that we are as strong today as we ever have been is just testament that we can ride those horrible events, but the business continues. And I think that, and to the outside world, the people we talk to, the people that we promoting the firm to, recognise the fact that actually the strength is still hugely there.
So just to wrap up, why should someone become a private client tax practitioner?
Go on, Iain.
That's a tough one. I mean, I think as private client tax goes, you're not going to see more interesting issues than we see. The US international, the UK international, the mix of the two together, the array of clients that we see is fantastic. The array of personalities, issues, the level of wealth that we see, it ranges massively. So I would think as a career in private client tax work, what we do is as interesting as you're going to see.
I think that's fair. If you like working with people, if you like building relationships, then it gives you that opportunity.
And I'm going to jump in actually and give my opinion on this because I think it's very important.
It's a very important opinion you've got, Michael.
Very important issue. My opinion might not be worth quite so much. But just to say, I think it's the variety. When I look at my career, I think it has it all. Because if you're a numbers person, it has numbers. If you like law, it has a legal aspect. If you like people, we deal with people every day. We see so much things which are interesting. If you like being an expert, well, you have to keep up to date. You have to become an expert. If you like talking about and showing off that you're an expert, plenty of opportunities to do that. And then as your career develops, there's more other areas in management that you get involved with. And whether it's on business development, marketing, everyone needs to be, whether you're in charge of a department, doesn't matter. You still need to be doing an element of that, throughout your career at any level, probably from manager up. And you start seeing there's more and more aspects come into the job, and I would just sheer variety of what you have to do. So I think we'll end there. I think it's been a very interesting topic and conversation. And say thank you everyone for listening, and please tune in for our next podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
If you're interested in working in tax, head over to our careers page to see what roles are available. Thank you for listening to this episode of TaxTalks podcast, and we hope you join us next time.